Hello, fellows. Welcome. Please, after you. I am so proud to have all of you here this evening. It's a real opportunity for me to be able to learn a little bit about each of you from your own perspective. Ishan, why don't you tell us your story?
My story is complicated, but it really began with a passion for the world. I worked in many different countries, first as a public health student, then as a physician, and it made me realize how much I care about underserved communities. Growing up in America as an Indian and as queer, I realized I always had to straddle different worlds all the time, and it was important for me to connect with everyone. After graduating from Penn, I sought deeper meaning with what I envisioned for my life. I reached out to a University of Chicago professor, Dr. John Schneider, who was studying male and trans commercial sex workers in Hyderabad, India, on an HIV prevention trial. In India, homosexuality was criminalized. Under the Brits, the behavior was considered atypical, but Hinduism, my faith, always had stories of homosexuality. Transmission of HIV had increased with the rollout of technology and applications. With the advent of antiretrovirals and PrEP, we saw opportunity for intervention. So I was meeting with the sex workers. When they got beat up but couldn't go to the police, I listened. Some were leading a double life, even getting thrown out of their families. The injustices affecting the queer community abroad pushed me to question myself and even inspired my study of global health. I then moved to the United Kingdom to get a master's in public health at Oxford. My mentor at the time set me up with a project in coastal Kenya. It was eerily similar to my experience in India, but far more brutal. The sex workers in Kenya were actually a part of the fabric of society. They sometimes were involved with key figures in the government. They risked being jailed, beaten, and even killed. We interviewed patients, local witch doctors, and Western clinicians and social workers. How do you reason with a witch doctor whose patients are asking to be cured of homosexuality? Well, you do it with mutual respect. And so we actually made progress, and at that point, I even started to overcome my own shame. I didn't have someone like me who was more senior to help me navigate our identities when they come into context. More recently at UCLA Health, we created a mentoring platform and queer residents-run spaces and activities called Spectrum, and Spectrum thrives to this day. I've been an outlier all my life, but living an authentic life has pushed me to successes I never dreamt of. Now I want to be like Coach Wooden. I want to be a macro leader. My career has had many successes and many failures, but now I view those defeats as detours. And I'm grateful for the journey and grateful for the opportunity to be reincarnated.
You have done more and gone further than any one of us can hope to achieve in a lifetime.
Thank you.
And you're still not out of business school. Now let's turn the spotlight over to Laura. I want to hear what brought you here to this moment.
I'd be happy to tell you. Back in 2020, when the coronavirus pandemic was starting, the order came down from the governor in Colorado to shut everything down. I've always been drawn to the food and hospitality industry. I've worked most of my career there. I've always been drawn to the way that food brings us together, and time stops for us, kind of like now. And this is why I work for the Colorado Restaurant Association. So what I remember about the day the order came down, there was a phone call from a restaurant employee who was panicking. And I remember our CEO saying to that person, "We are not going to let your business die." So we decided two things. We were going to freeze our association dues, and we were going to find every bit of information that could help restaurants and disseminate it daily as a newsletter. And importantly, make it a free resource to the industry. Orders were coming quickly and without a lot of clarity. So we needed to find things out like who can be called an essential business. And we'd have to interview people at the regulatory agencies to figure out what these orders meant for businesses. My role is to help ease the burden among people in hospitality. I'm there to help them with the business part. And that was my aim in coming to Anderson. How to offer training and resources and professionalization, not just to the restaurant industry, but to our own association. So pretty soon after we started doing these daily emails, two things happened. One, people felt the love.
CRA, you all are lifesavers.
You're all kicking ass. Just when I think I've read every email update for the day, in comes a late evening CRA message.
The other thing that happened was that we were in this crisis together, and the restaurants really felt like we were in it with them. Fast forward to now. I'm on the executive team at the CRA, overseeing talent development and apprenticeship programs that help employees in our industry rise into leadership roles. And I'm helping my team and association grow as the COO. And I've been using Anderson's entrepreneurship sequence to explore a project in childcare, which has acute needs and has a really important place in our society. So I'm not interested in being a leader just to be a leader. I just need to reinforce servant leadership. I just want to help people realize what they want to realize.
I love to hear that. And I think you have a whole industry back there in Colorado that you can consider your team.
I do, thank you. But enough about me.
Okay.
I'd like to hear Ike's story.
Well, I came from a very small town back in China, and I never really felt I was accepted. I didn't even know I was queer until the very last year of my high school. And in college, I was still struggling, accept my own identity, and I never felt I was part of the bigger LGBTQ plus community. So after graduation, I moved from Changsha to Shanghai, which is way more diverse. Back then was the best of openness in China in terms of the government. There was Shanghai Pride. It felt like a new world, so I joined Pride. Then the government shut it down. The government brought in the Pride leaders for questioning, intimidated them, and cut their funding. And they also took control of the internet. And then I had started work at Johnson & Johnson after graduation. I was not out in the company for 2 or 3 years into my tenure. There was just one heteronormative scenario after another, and my personal life, professional life felt like two separate worlds. We had an office of D&I, and I got connected to the sponsor of the whole D&I office. He was the first supporter of the idea of starting Open and Out in China. I remember I said to him, "We talk about D&I all the time, but inclusion is for everybody." So I came out to him. With hesitation, we built a team for board approval. Back then, D&I would send out surveys, so I embedded a question about how important it is to be inclusive of the LGBTQ members. And will launching Open and Out be important? 76% said they felt it was important. I thought this just might work, but the board voted no. The HR head didn't think it was necessary despite the stats. So I started a workshop and invited other LGBTQ members to tell stories about their struggles. After the workshop, she called me. She said she was really touched. I had her support. Now the other person was the PR head. She would not see me or answer my emails. I put together a gathering of these LGBTQ group leaders from these companies to discuss risk mitigation, and I invited her. She asked so many questions to those people in that meeting, and we showed how we can attract top talent and bring other benefits. We asked the board to vote again, and they approved us. From then on, we were able, finally, to have regular events and meetings. We got a WeChat group, and it grew so fast. In the second year, we had our first Pride Month. Best of all, we were able to even get same-sex couple benefits, parental leave, partner sick leave, and many more for 13,000 employees. There was a career risk by doing all this. We could lose our jobs. So I agreed to take full accountability, but it all didn't go so smoothly. The government system would still detect the LGBTQ events inside J&J. They'd come and find members and knock on our doors at night. They said, as long as what we are promoting doesn't permeate outward, we could move ahead. Today, Open and Out is still going strong in China, and I take to heart this quote from Coach Wooden. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It's the courage that actually counts.
Ike, thanks for sharing your story with us, and to both of you as well. Thank you for being a part of this evening. And let's take a moment here to raise our glasses in a toast to Coach Wooden, because he is why we're all here tonight. To Coach, and to leading with principles.